Okay, can everybody hear me? I am so thrilled to be here because this is truly, I think, a worldwide event. It is our first symposium for our collaboration between Kathmandu University and University of Nairobi. And our students are here, our colleagues are here. Two of my students who I graduated with, well, I didn't graduate, you graduated, who have done, and our third one, who Carrie was the mentor for, are here and have done such incredible work in their home countries of Nepal and Kenya. And this grant that we're going to be talking about today, plus all the other work that's being done some of the other work being done in this country, in those countries, are basically follow-up. And we're so proud of you and everyone that has come here together for the program. So before we even start, I want to acknowledge Chris Longnecker, and I would like to acknowledge for funding and being a part of the Global Cardiovascular Program here in our Department of Global Health. But especially I want to acknowledge Adrian and Tanya and Teja for the incredible amount of work. It is a lot of work to put something like this together, and we wouldn't be here without them. And I do want us to know that we really appreciate everything that they have done. I'm going to give a very, very, very brief overview of the Cardiometabolic Research Training Program that we're going to be talking about today and tomorrow. And just some very basics, because you're going to get to meet all of the players on this grant, or most of them, and they're going to tell you about everything that's being done, what they're doing, and what we're doing together. So it is a D43 grant, which is primarily most of the money is being spent on training for students or fellows or people here coming to the University of Washington, Department of Global Health or Epidemiology, or training in country. That's happening both in Nepal and in Kenya. Basically, we received the funding in 2020. It was the very beginning of the pandemic. Took us about a year to get everything going and recruiting students. And we began in fall of 21 to bring in our first two students for the MPH degree in the Department of Global Health. Our mission is to provide training, collaboration, and other support to create a generation of independent researchers to address cardiovascular disease and its risk factors in low and middle income countries. So basically, I think everybody knows that. It's the University of Washington, Kathmandu University, and University of Nairobi. And in addition to their students coming here for training and doing training, non-degree training, or although some of it is degree training now in their own countries, we want our students to try to work together and to help develop cross-country collaborations that they can use for doing more projects and getting more funding. Our program leadership, we are MPIs. So I am our University of Washington MPI, but we have Archana Shrestha you'll hear from, Biraj Karmacharya, and Alfred Osoti are our multiple principal investigators from Nepal and from Kenya. And then Adrian is our training program director who organizes everybody. It's quite amazing. And our program officer is Maria Leventova. And she's going to give us just a few insights from her perspective from NIH. Our primary mentors, we have a lot of people that have been supporting us, but it's Chris Longnecker and Carrie, who you just met, Nana Sotudenya in cardiology, Joe Zunt in neurology, and Mandy Fretz, who has been mentoring one of our current students who's going to be graduating this week. Our aims: to increase high impact research on cardiometabolic diseases and risk factors, and to build research capacities at our partnering institutions, KU and University of Nairobi. We also want to support students completing MS degrees at Kathmandu University because they developed the first program of public health at Kathmandu University, and they last year graduated their first class of masters in science and public health, and have enrolled a new group, and will have 4 PhD students that are going to be beginning this year also. And then we are also supporting mid and short-term training both in Kenya and in Nepal, using our EDGH program, plus having people come over and do trainings that are non-degree training, so that we can have impact with more students and people who want to learn to do cardiovascular disease. These are our students that we've been working with thus far, and aren't they gorgeous? They've been so much fun to work with. I'm wondering, Tanya, is Maria online? Okay. What do you think? Do we want to? Okay, okay. Well, let's do that. Thank you, Annette. All right. She's not on yet, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to introduce you. So this is one of the success stories that we've been talking about with our global health program and our epidemiology program, in terms of these incredible researchers that we are lucky enough to be able to still collaborate with after they've come here for their research training. Alfred is our MPI for our D43 from the University of Nairobi. He did his clinical training at the University of Nairobi, but he did his MPH and his PhD here at the University of Washington. You're going to hear this repeated a lot with these incredible colleagues that we work with. He is a PI of NIH. He's got a K43, R21, and he's mostly interested in cardiovascular risk after delivery, and also HIV and maternal health. So I'm going to let Alfred tell you more about what he's doing.
Thank you very much, Annette, for the kind introductions. I hope you can hear me. Okay. So I'm going to give an overview of the CMRTP program in Kenya. This is basically the leadership structure that we proposed when we were writing the grant, and it has a training advisory committee, which has several members of the team. And I would just want to emphasize members from the University of Nairobi. That is George Osanjo, who is our current dean, and Professor Dalton Wamalo, who is familiar to many of us here at the University of Washington, because he trained here and has collaborated a lot here with us. Then we have the internal advisors, Kari, that you know, and also we have the MPIs, where I belong. And then lastly, we have some of the leads for the long-term training, the midterm certificates, and the short-term training that we had proposed, including Dr. Kinuthia, that is familiar to many of us who are from Kenya. This is slightly busy slide, but just emphasizes what our objectives were when we wrote the grant. One is to increase capacity to conduct high impact research on cardiometabolic disease and risk factors by research capacity building at the different institutions through the master's level training program that we have since instituted. Also the training of the students to complete their MS degree at in Nepal under the leadership of our colleagues from the Kathmandu University in Nepal, and also provide mid and short-term training in Kenya, focusing on essential research and leadership skills. We had proposed, though this was challenged because of the COVID era, we had proposed some certificate programs that we would offer, as well as in-country workshops as well. But again, because of the impact of COVID, we were not able to hold some of these physically. So how far have we gone as far as the University of Nairobi is concerned? We have conducted several EDGH courses for our students, faculty, and even staff at the University of Nairobi. So far we have had 8 courses from the fall of 2021 up to the one that is ongoing in spring 2023. Now, this is the distribution of the participants that we have had so far, the institutions that they have been from, and their nationalities. As you can see, it's very varied. Majority of them are from the University of Nairobi and the Ministry of Health in Kenya. Some of them have dual appointments at the University of Nairobi and Ministry of Health in Kenya. But we also have participants from other countries in East Africa, including Burundi, Sierra Leone, and the DRC. These are mainly postgraduate students who are coming in to study at the University of Nairobi, who are coming from these different countries. It's interesting that some of them, having gone back to their country after the training, are looking for opportunities to continue collaborating and continue participating in the program, even way beyond their completion of their studies from the University of Nairobi. So in total, we have had 8 courses offered and 148 trainees. And as I said, including postgraduate students, staff, and faculty of the University of Nairobi. For our MPhD trainees, we have 2 currently, Dr. Floria, who is here, and Dr. Shradha as well, who are here, who are almost finishing their training, and we hope to get them back to Kenya. And then we have one that we were expecting this fall, Yusuf Adam, but has deferred due to some technical challenges that we had with this funding. We have also held a manuscript writing workshop. Again, we had proposed to do many of these, but because of COVID restrictions and everything else, we had to adapt. So far, we have had one manuscript writing workshop in the spring of 2022. We hope to conduct a few more before the end of the year. There have been participating faculty from the University of Nairobi and the faculty also from University of Washington alumni. Actually, majority of those that supported this were from the University of Washington alumni. Sarah and the team, they really helped us to do this. We have managed to get at least 15 manuscripts submitted for consideration for publication in peer-reviewed journals from the manuscript workshop that we had. So it was very, very productive. There have been calls for us to continue offering the same. So we want to continue doing the same so that at least we have products from this. So what have been our successes so far? We have offered the DGH courses to faculty and postgraduate students at the university with different backgrounds from the Ministry of Health and the university from different nationalities I've mentioned. We have also offered opportunities for training of MPH students at the university, currently 2 and 1 deferred, and also the training on manuscript writing and publication of the same. The challenges that we have had have been many. One is getting candidates released to study abroad has been a big challenge to us. So in the first year, we identified a very strong candidate. We agreed with him to come on board. He deferred for a year. And after a year, he came back and said, the university has said they cannot release him because he has just completed his postgraduate training. So we had to look for another candidate. We've also had similar challenges in the recent intake that we had, where one of the candidates just said that the employer has said, we cannot release you for a year. Which was very, very challenging. So that's one of the challenges that we are addressing, and we need to ensure that we get strong candidates going forward who can be released even before we accept them into the program. The funding support for mentorship after training is a critical component, and I think Dr. Floria and Shradha would be concerned about that as well. They want to go and continue using their skills when they go back home, but they also need some protected time to be able to do this. So if we are able to get some additional funding, that would really help them to transition from whatever they are doing here to what they will be doing when they go in country. And then retention of the core trainees within the faculty or the network to help us even with the manuscript writing, proposal writing, and mentorship going forward are some of the challenges that we need to address. So for sustainability, we need more training workshops and training for PhD and MPH for our faculty and students so that at least we can form a core local faculty within Kenya and within Nepal, for example. As we have learned from IRTP, sometimes NIH wants now these courses to be built within, the strength to be built within country rather than having students come all over this side. But still we have challenges. For example, in biostatistics, we may not even have enough personnel to be able to offer that course locally. So we need to think of that. Postdoc opportunities after MPH or PhD training is a very good transition process for some of our students. So even before they get the K grants or K43 grants, I think this would be an opportunity for them to transition from their training to to at least be independent researchers or be able to write grants. Opportunities for writing small, short, and long-term grants should also be available to ensure that this is a continuing process rather than just training and being handed over to your country to figure out what you want to do next. Collaboration with other facilities and universities is also very, very important. We have many universities now in Kenya, and I think it's important to engage all of them together with the Ministry of Health and Professional Organization. And then lastly, because we are mainly dealing with NCDs, we need to integrate within the HIV research team, because I think RTP now is really interested in collaborating with NCDs component of research and training as well. So I think this is an opportunity to work together for sustainability. So this is the core University of Nairobi administrative team that we have. We have other technical experts like the dean and the rest, but we also have the small office that helps us to function, that talks to Tanya, talks to Adrian and the rest to ensure that at least there's proper communication. So myself, Teresia, who is our program manager, and Grace, who is the program administrator. Thank you.
While Tanya is setting up Dr. Karmacharya's talk, I'm going to introduce him. So he is one of the triumvirate, the three that I've been talking about before. Biraj did his clinical training at Kathmandu University and in Thailand, but he came here to the University of Washington to get his PhD in Epi. He was a Fulbright fellow in 2015. He graduated, but Fulbright isn't doing it anymore. I believe he was the last cohort to be funded for a PhD. He did his MPH in our Department of Global Health and is now an associate professor at Kathmandu University. Most importantly, Biraj knows how to initiate new projects, proposals, funding. He was the founder and the director of the Department of Community Programs and Public Health at Kathmandu University. He, together with Archana, developed the public health program that was not there before until they started it, and they just graduated their first group of MPH students and are now beginning another class with a PhD student. And we are just so thrilled with all the work that Biraj has been able to do here. So Biraj is going to tell you about the program at Kathmandu University that he basically he and Archana are responsible for leading.
Yeah, thank you very much, Annette. I think you forgot to introduce me as your mentee, which is very important. Good afternoon, everyone. It's always a big pleasure for me to be in Seattle, which is like my second home. I lived here for 6 years and got my PhD, and after that my master's and postdoc, all from University of Washington. So it's always like homecoming here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the way we developed our public health programs, academic programs in public health, and how that relates to this D43 grant, which is actually a very interesting story. In 2011, I joined here as a PhD student, and we didn't have this building back then. It was all in T-wing, and I still remember, especially the initial weeks and months, walking through the dark corridors and a little bit of gloomy classrooms. But all throughout those times, there was one thing that was constantly in my mind, in my colleague Archana's mind, whom I met here and who was already here 1 year prior to me. She was pursuing her master's in public health, also as a Fulbright fellow, and then continued with the PhD program. And one thing that was constantly, striking in our mind was, how do we bring these opportunities to Nepal? We have been, incredibly fortunate for getting this opportunity. And I have to confess that in the context of Nepal, we are very privileged people. I'm a very privileged person. I had a very good school education. I got a scholarship to do my medical studies. And I had a scholarship to do my master's in tropical medicine. I come from a very, comparatively very privileged background. But there are thousands and thousands who are equally, if not more competent than us, but do not have that opportunity in the country. And, and they will never get an opportunity to come to a fantastic institution like this. There are thousands and thousands of people like that. So all throughout our studies, the one thing that was always hitting in our mind was, how do we bring these opportunities to other people in our country? So that was how it all started. So for those of you who have not been to Nepal, this is a small country. It's 75% the size of state of Washington, I think, but the population is about 30 million. And I wanted to show this picture, just to make sure that those who have not been to Nepal would be attracted, or persuaded to visit our institution. This is where we work. This is Dhulikhel Hospital, Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences. And if you are not yet convinced that it's a beautiful place, I have another picture of the town. So this is the town where we live and where we work. It's not very far from Kathmandu. It's a small town of about like 25,000 people, and this is where we are based. So after finishing my PhD, and then I continued with my master's and postdoc here, and people used to laugh and say like, why are you doing master's in global health after you are done with your PhD? And many people, many, and then and my answer to that was, always, in the mind, we had the goal to start global health program in Nepal, academic program in global health. And, sometimes the Nepalese organizations can be very, very bureaucratic, and they would not allow to start a new academic program if I don't hold that degree. So that was one of the major reasons for that. So then we said, okay, then we'll get a global health degree as well. But even after we returned, so this almost reflects, our situation, my situation before we launched the program, because we don't have infrastructure, we don't have funding, we don't have administrative support, we don't have other fantastic things that you have built in this university for the last 150 years. Because our university is just 25 years old. So we have to take up the role of everything. Like we have to be an administrator and in an hour, teacher in another hour, a researcher in another hour, and a communicator and a grants manager. So all the roles we have to fulfill at the same time. So so probably I think the expression of this kid reflects the state of our mind when we were thinking of starting the program. But then, since both of us, we had this degree from here, we had that confidence, and as I said, especially with Annette, who was our mentor, and we had, I think, that grit and confidence that we'll be able to do something in Nepal. This is a picture of Annette, myself, and Victoria Holt, who I think became the chair at the time I was graduating. Yeah, I was trying to find a picture with Archana as well, but I couldn't find. Yeah, so this is another picture to show, how we have to fulfill our roles. There's a girl carrying water in in both hands, also in the back. So this exactly reflects the responsibilities we have to undertake. Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences, it started in 2001, and after this school was started, the KUSMS started, it actually changed the landscape of health sciences education in Nepal. So I still remember, I was one of the initial cohorts of MBBS program from KUSMS. And now KUSMS itself produces almost around 1,500 medical graduates every year, almost around 500 residents and about 100 fellows. So we have those advanced clinical specialty trainings all within our home, because of this institution. But we didn't have a public health program, remember that. So it was with this, sorry, so I will now play a short video. Can you help?
Public health is all about people. It's not just about diseases. We require a very wide, diverse group of people to deal with the problems of public health. For the first time in history, the Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences Department of Public Health launched a Masters of Science program in public health in Nepal in 2019. The course here is unique because of the breadth of disciplines we provide, from epidemiology to biostatistics to research methodologies. We try to provide students with strong grounding while allowing them to look at their own special interests in depth. The first year gives a broad grounding in epidemiology and global health, covering the foundational concepts of public health, health education, and health promotion, data analysis and statistical software usage, an introduction to research methodology, proposal writing and scientific communication, social behavioral population science and ethics in health, health systems and public health planning, qualitative research methods, environmental and occupational health, community-oriented health practices. And within these streams, students also get more opportunity to look at individual topics for their thesis projects. The thesis project is an important element of the course. It is the integrating module of the course that enables students to draw on their prior experiences and the knowledge they have obtained throughout their masters. Our student population hails from all parts of Nepal. The faculty come with significant enthusiasm and a broad base of knowledge and skill in public health. They have applied experience in the field, making for a great learning environment. The faculty are pleased to mentor students and are approachable at any time. We also have a range of seminars and journal clubs outside of the main lectures. Researchers come from all over the world to share their experiences and career paths. We also invite various visiting scientists to share their experience in different health research areas. The guest lecturers who are invited to the program have great reputations and experiences. During class, students receive close mentoring from faculty. The Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences strives to create an environment where students can openly speak out for their ideas and beliefs. Our master's program hence provides intensive training on broader perspectives in public health to prepare leaders in healthcare, public health, and research who will work to find the most effective and efficient solutions in health. If your passion is to improve health and well-being in society and to build evidence for effective strategies for healthier, longer, and more fulfilling lives, we invite you to join us at Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences for this Masters of Science in Public Health program. A 2.5-year program is a career changer that will prepare you to enter the healthcare field equipped with the knowledge and skills to lead. Our students are currently involved as interns in various national and international projects, nonprofit organizations, and health departments. They are building programs to improve health and prevent disease. They work tirelessly and courageously during disease outbreaks and natural disasters, keeping us all healthier and safer. And we at Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences keep our students happy.
Our new building, still under construction on part. So we started it in 2019, and just 3 weeks back, we also launched the first Ph.D. program in public health in Nepal. It's actually in health sciences, including public health. And when we started the Masters of Science in Epidemiology and Global Health, that was also the first time in the country. We used to have, we still have different MPH programs, but one of the things that was consistently, found in discussions, reviews, was that the health research training in the master's program was not, that robust. So we then aimed to make it heavily research focused, and thus developed an MSc program in public health. So it's a 2.5 years course. I'll not go through in detail about it, but just wanted to share a little bit. So what is this? Yeah, so we started with 10 students in one cohort, and as you can see that almost 4, or I'd say almost 5, half of them had their thesis something related to non-communicable diseases. And last year, exactly 1 year ago, the first batch graduated, and this was a very, very proud moment for all of us. They completed a 2.5 years long program. It was 2 years of education and 6 months of internship, which we had arranged for them. Then we had a second batch of master's program, and here also almost half of them have something related to non-communicable disease related thesis works. And in the third batch, we had 18. Due to different circumstances, we had a little more students in this batch. But from this year onwards, again, we have reduced the number of students, and it'll be around 8 to 10 every batch. So here also, almost around 8 to 10 students have something related to non-communicable diseases, mental health, and so on. So this is the fourth batch master's program who joined our college just 2 weeks back. So we just started with this cohort. So one of the things that I have to say here is when we started the program, we didn't have dedicated funding for running the program. And the D43 grant started almost exactly at the same time when we started our master's program. So it was a terrific complement to our initiatives. And through the D43 program, as Alfred mentioned, we have been running all those courses. So our students have exposure to all those courses from University of Washington. And then we supplement those courses with other on-site didactic lectures, and sometimes customized for the Nepalese context and so on. So they have that opportunity. And then another very unique thing that we are very proud of is that because of the D43 grant, we are able to provide research support for these students. So that's one of the reasons why the quality of their master's thesis compared to many other master's students is significantly high, because we have managed to secure quite a good amount of research support from the D43 program. They can hire research assistants and then have other support for conducting research. So that has been the second thing. And then the third thing from the D43 program is that we've been able to invite some of the speakers and external experts to take some courses, because we run this program with very limited number of faculty. Basically, officially there are like 6 dedicated faculty members for this to run this whole program, and one of them is pursuing PhD here, Pramita. So it is a very hard task. So D43 has been of tremendous support in complementing the efforts that we have undertaken for our program. And I also wanted to show this picture. Thanks, Steve. To Steve, we got a Fulbright grant last year, and we had the first graduation when Steve was there. And I still remember the course that I took with Steve, Problems in Global Health, and it was one of the courses that if you have taken, you never forget in your life, because the breadth of critical thinking and the perspectives you get from the course is unparalleled. So we had the Problems in Global Health in Nepal. From him, he had an extensive 2 weeks long, very, very exhaustive course, and then we had graduation ceremony in his presence. So this was the farewell for the first batch and welcoming the second batch. He taught the second batch students. Our students still fondly remember him. So this is Steve with our first batch students, graduating students, and I also came to know that he also dances, and we had a dance party after the event, and it was fun. So after the first batch graduated, so technically from the university rule, we were eligible to start PhD program. Generally, they don't allow to initiate PhD program if you have not to run a master program. So we started working on that as well. And just like I said, as I said, 3 weeks back, we launched our first PhD program. And we in public health, we have 4 students now. Archana is supervising 2, and I'm supervising another 2. And most of the works that these PhD students will be engaged in will also be around NCDs and on cardiovascular diseases as well. So we are now discussing to see how we can link the D43 program with this new PhD program. It opens up a completely new horizon of capacity building in Nepal. There's a tremendous demand. There's no PhD program in public health in Nepal, whereas Nepal produces almost 200 masters in public health in country. So we are very excited about this. These are our 4 bright PhD candidates that we just enrolled. They're from very diverse background, nursing, public health, and so on. So in addition to that, another exciting thing that we wanted to do was, okay, we launched these programs in Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences, but what about other institutions in Nepal? So again, we tried to use some of the learnings from UW. So we thought of building a consortium. And I'm a big fan of CUGH, and I always say that CUGH is one of the best conferences you can attend. I think I've attended 2 or 3 of those. So what we decided was we built a consortium of academic institutions for public health in Nepal. There are 9 universities in Nepal that are running public health programs, academic programs in public health, either bachelor's or master's program. So what we did was we brought together all 9 universities that are in Nepal, and we formed a consortium. And just last March, we officially launched it. So this is the picture where we have the representatives from these 9 universities, and now we have it formalized. Myself, Archana, we are leading it, and what we are trying to do now is, to replicate or to customize some of the successes we have had in our setting to other universities. So Archana is actually running a training of trainers on implementation science to faculty members from 9 universities in the far western part of Nepal, and we are planning many new activities to support overall public health academic program in Nepal through the consortium. So that's our strategy, and I think this will also be a very exciting adventure for us. So this was the first time we had a meeting. It was a 2-day event, and we called it Advancing Public Health Training in Nepal: Opportunities and Challenges. And the consortium was actually a culmination of this major nationwide meeting, and it's heavily supported by the Ministry of Health, WHO, and many other development partners as well. So I would end with this quote. I like to end my presentations with this quote, and this is a fantastic line, I think, from Paul Farmer, who said, "Every night when I go to bed, I worry about how I will fulfill all the promises I have made. And every morning when I wake up, I think I haven't made enough promises." But I think that really reflects the state of mind of most of us, because every day, as I said, we have to fulfill so many roles, so many responsibilities, and sometimes we get down. But I think things like this keep us going, and we're very thankful to the, of course, the UW community and also the D43 opportunity, and we're really looking forward to further enhance it in coming days. Thank you very much.
Next, we are going to hear some introductions from our CMRTP trainees.
What I wanted to say is that I don't need to introduce them, because the purpose of this section is for our 5 students that are currently enrolled here in the University of Washington, either in epidemiology, our 2 PhD students, or global health, our 3 master's students. They're going to tell you about themselves. So who's first? Rashmi? Rashmi, come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you could hear me. And I'm pretty nervous. So I'm Rashmi Maharjan from Nepal. And I completed my MSc nursing from Mahidol University, Thailand. Back in Kathmandu University, I work as a nursing lecturer, and as Dr. Biraj told, we hold this multiple hats. I also work as a researcher. And at KUSMS, Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences, my current mentors are Professor Annette, Dr. Archana, Dr. Biraj. And I anticipate I will graduate my PhD program by autumn of 2025. Sorry, I forgot to tell I'm enrolled in PhD program in the Department of Epidemiology. Just to give a brief introduction, brief background about my research experience. I had not late, but mostly worked in this NIH U24 grant titled Translational Research Capacity Building Initiative to address cardiovascular disease in Nepal. Under this program, we created a cohort of about 23 researchers, me, one of them, and we trained them in different disciplines necessary for doing research. And also we completed our national needs assessment for the prevention and management of cardiovascular diseases in Nepal. I am also trained a diabetes nurse educator. So I also co-lead this Hospital Direct Nepal of food-based educational and home economics intervention for type 2 diabetes remission. We have completed our data collection, and currently we are analyzing the data that we generated. I am also clinically active in Department of Internal Medicine and Cardiology at Dhulikhel Hospital. In addition to teaching my students, I also guide them at clinical sites. I also guide them for the research work. This is my tentative title for my dissertation, Social Determinants in the Control of Hypertension among Participants of Dhulikhel Heart Study. My three aims are: aim 1, to describe CVD risk profile and the relationship with socio-demographic factors among cohort of DHS, to investigate the association of prevalent hypertension with social support and CVD risk factors, and to explore how people with hypertension perceive the role of social support within their treatment. I anticipate I will start my research from July 24 and complete it by September 2024. This is all. If you have any questions, are we allowed to take questions? Do we need to? Thank you. So hello, everyone. I'm extremely feeling honored to introduce myself in front of all my mentors, my colleagues, and to all those to all of you with whom I have been spending most of my time here. And as you know, my name is Pramita Shrestha, and I'm a first-year PhD student in Department of Epidemiology. And before I came here, I was a lecturer in the Department of Public Health at Kathmandu University School of Medical Sciences. And I completed my master's in global health from the University of Tokyo. And here for my PhD, my mentors are Professor Annette, Dr. Biraj, Dr. Archana, and I am hoping that I'll be graduating in 2025. So before I joined PhD, so I spent most of my years in several community development projects and public health projects, including research programs as well. And these projects are mainly focused on rural health programs. So I spend most of my time in conducting those programs in the rural areas where the hospital has the coverage. So, and beside that, I was also involved in some of the research projects such as Dhulikhel Heart Study, Dhulikhel LDCD project. So these are like planned cohort studies. And I was also since I was in rural health program, so I was also part of telemedicine and health informatics center focused on chronic diseases. So generally, I was more into non-communicable diseases. And I started my professional professional career from being a research assistant in one of the epidemiological study on gynecological morbidities that was focused on cervical carcinoma. And during the COVID, I was working on case investigation and contact tracing activities and other rapid response activities as well. So for the PhD, this is quite general right now. So I still need to work on this to make it more specific. So I will be focusing on universal health coverage and cardiovascular diseases in Nepal. And in universal health coverage, I will be picking the health insurance component, because in Nepal we have begun the National Health Insurance Program, and there are lots of things to be done within the health insurance program. So I would love to integrate. I would love to assess how health insurance program is influencing the cardiovascular diseases in Nepal, and this will be held in Nepal. And because I'll be using the secondary data from Dhulikhel study and other existing projects, so the participants will be adults, and I'm planning to conduct mixed methods. So for other details, so I'll be explaining tomorrow. Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello, namaste. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Parashar Khadka, MPS, currently MPS first year student in global health. I'm the second batch of CMRTP MPS program from Nepal, and my previous background is public health, bachelor in public health from Nepal. After graduating in 2017, I started my career with Dhulikhel Hospital in a research, as a research intern in Nepal Pioneer Oxide Intervention Study. It was a study to conduct the diabetes and hypertension study. And I am happy to share my mentors with you all, Dr. Annette, Dr. Biraj, and Dr. Archana. I am expected to graduate in winter, before the winter, in 2024. Talking about my research experience, I started my career with Dhulikhel Hospital back in 2017, and I worked closely with Dr. Biraj and Dr. Archana in a research funded by Howard University and Dhulikhel Hospital. It was a hypertension-based diabetes prevention study. We did like cafeteria intervention for improving the healthy diet in Nepal. And for the second phase, we did school intervention program. Beside worksite intervention study, I've also worked closely with another study. It was a study conducted by Stanford University, and with the support of Sabin Vaccine Institute. The study was named Surveillance of Enteric Fever in Asia project. It was conducted in 3 Asian countries, including Nepal. I am in the end of the first year, and I will be doing my practicum in summer quarter, and before that, after the practicum, I'll be starting my thesis in the topic prevalence of angina pectoris and associated factors in the suburban population of Nepal. It was a big cohort study from the Dhulikhel Heart study. My primary aim is to investigate the prevalence of angina pectoris in a suburban population of Dhulikhel municipality, Nepal, to assess the risk factor associated with the angina pectoris in the suburban population of Dhulikhel Hospital, Dhulikhel municipality, Nepal. And my research timeline is after the practicum. It will be conducted between September and March 2024. At last, I would like to thank IRTP, CMRTP, and my kind mentors for this opportunity, for having me in this program. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shradha Doshi, and I'm in the MPH program in the Global Health track. Sorry? Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. It was, yeah. Yeah, so Shradha Doshi in the MPH Global Health track. I'm originally from Kenya. My background is that I have a Bachelor's of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery from the University of Nairobi, and recently a Master of Medicine, Internal Medicine from the University of Nairobi as well. Previously, before coming to Seattle, I was working at the Aga Khan University Hospital in a cardiology clinic, and I also work in the critical care units at the Aga Khan University Hospital. My thesis committee consists of Chris, Carrie, who are both here, and Barbara Richardson, who's been great help. My anticipated graduation is summer of 2023. Some of the research experience I have, well, I mostly practice clinical medicine, but I worked as a study coordinator for SARS-CoV-2 antibody study, looking at risk factors and performing phylogenetic analysis. And Carrie was one of the PIs. And there is a paper that I co-authored, and you can read more about the study in that paper. And prior to that, for my master's thesis, for Master of Medicine thesis, I looked at depression and its association with disease activity and quality of life in patients with rheumatoid arthritis at the Kenyatta National Hospital, which is the hospital where the teaching hospital where I worked at. And we have another paper, you can read more about the work. So my thesis aims for my master's in public health is looking at association of mild renal impairment with coronary artery disease among persons living with HIV in Uganda. It's secondary data analysis. The study was already done, and Chris is the PI of the study, and a multiple papers written already, but I'm doing a subsection of the analysis. And the aims are to determine the distribution of albumin-creatinine ratio, which is the ACR, and the eGFR, glomerular filtration rate, by HIV status. I also plan to determine the association between mild kidney disease and prevalent coronary artery disease, and assess the modification by HIV status of the association between kidney disease and prevalent coronary artery disease. My research timeline is June. Well, I started looking at the data long before June, but yeah, I've been looking at the data since the past 9 months, and in the next 3 months I should be done with my analysis, and that's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Floria, and I'm an MPH Global Health student, and I'm originally from Kenya. I have a background in, sorry. Oh, okay, sorry about that. I have a background in medicine and surgery from the University of Nairobi, and I was also working in primary care at a private hospital in Nairobi, Kenya. And my mentors are Sarah, Osoti, Alfred, and Chris, and I'm expected to graduate by the end of fall this year. So in terms of my research experience, I've done in my private practice a lot of treatment protocol development, especially for cardiometabolic conditions, as well as hypertensive disorders of pregnancy and gestational diabetes. And I also worked as a research assistant in immunotherapy provision, as well as an influenza surveillance study, which was being carried out by the CDC in Kenya. So in terms of my thesis project, this is a secondary analysis of a study that had already been carried out by Dr. Osoti in Kenya, who was a PI, and it was looking at the prevalence of metabolic syndrome among postpartum women who had a history of hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, as well as gestational diabetes. And so for my study, I'll be looking at the lifetime cardiovascular disease risk prediction, as well as the social determinants of cardiovascular health in these women. And so for the aims, I'll be determining the overall lifetime cardiovascular risk, and I'll be using the pool cohort equations for the women who had hypertensive disorder in pregnancy and those who did not have. And then I'll also evaluate the associations between the social determinants of health and also the changes in cardiovascular risk factors at specific time points. And so I'd expect to complete my analysis by the end of this year in December. Thank you.
I want to thank the students for telling us about themselves, and we'll hear a little bit more tomorrow with previous students and our PhD students also to tell us about their research. Our next talk is going to be from Dr. Chris Longnecker, who is a cardiologist, and he's here at the UW Departments of Cardiology and Global Health. It took us a long time to find him. We knew that we were in desperate need of someone to manage and direct and build a program in non-communicable diseases in our Department of Global Health, and we finally found him. And so in 2021, Chris became the first director of what's officially called the Global Cardiovascular Health Program here in Department of Global Health. His research centers around primarily cardiovascular disease, quality of care, and he does work with rheumatic heart disease, and he works primarily in the US and in Uganda, and he has a lot of funding from NIH, AHA, and the Medtronic philanthropy. And we are so lucky that he's sort of spreading this funding around to us now. So my pleasure to introduce Chris.
Well, thank you, Annette, for that very kind introduction. It's really nice to be here with everyone today to talk about this program, which is now a year and a half old. I think we've accomplished a lot, and I want to take you through some of those accomplishments, and really most excited to talk with you and have some discussion afterwards, right? So right after this, we'll have some discussion about how we might work together. So I'll start just by taking you through kind of what we've done over the past couple of years. And so I was hired in November of 2021, and over the first few months, really spent most of my time trying to just get to know everybody. Did a lot of Zoom one-on-ones with various stakeholders, but slowly began to put together some ideas for some activities. And in 2022, April of 2022, we actually awarded our first funding for a pilot program that we hope will bring together people from the various silos that are doing global cardiovascular health work, bring them together and hopefully generate new proposals as a result of that. Alicia, who is in the back there, you can say hi to Alicia, was hired about a year ago now, and has really helped take us through a lot of these activities over the last year, which included hiring 2 new assistant professors through the DGH cluster hire in August of last year. 2 of them received some support from our program. One of them is here with us today, Yongfang. And then the other, Sarah Masuko, you know well, is mentoring Floria, and probably will mentor other Kenya students in the future. In September, we initiated some strategic planning where we, again, brought together all the stakeholders that I had been meeting with over the various months to try to think about what should we focus on and make some choices about key priority for our new program. So we completed that strategic planning in November, and then also around that same time offered our first position to a global health fellow within the cardiology fellowship program. Unfortunately, we did not match with that person, so we still have a vacancy, but are looking forward to, again, doing this with this next round of cardiology fellowship recruitment in the fall. We put together an advisory board and had our first initial advisory board meeting in January, and at the same time completed our website, which I'll show you in just a bit. And in March, we started a series of quarterly research seminars, our first of which was with nursing. And again, the goal here is to reach out to the various people that are doing different cardiovascular, global cardiovascular work around the university so that we can eventually try to create bridges and get people to talk to each other. So in summer of this year, we hope to have our first grant that we submitted here through UW get funded. It was scored very well at study section, just waiting on funding from the NIH. So that'll be an R01 to look at cardiovascular magnetic resonance imaging in Uganda and South Africa. Happy to talk more about that if people are interested. So part of our process of engaging stakeholders was identifying who they all are. I've listed here who we view as our core faculty, not only myself, but Sarah and Yangfang, who receive direct support from the GCHP. But then we also have a number of affiliated faculty from various areas of the university, Department of Global Health, you see Carrie and Annette on there, nursing, neurology, cardiology, implementation science, and beyond. And this ultimately totals 39 global cardiovascular health projects in some key countries that you see there. This is our website. You can find us at that web address up there. And we have a number of different drop-down landing pages that you'll find more information if you're interested. I'd like to share a couple of slides on our pilot grant program. I think we feel this is one of the key features. It emphasizes interdisciplinary interaction by requiring a multi-PI structure with a contact PI either in Department of Global Health or in cardiology, and then another PI in some other separate department or school within the university. So the first collaboration was between cardiology and global health. So Tekla and Sate were awarded a study, and I'm very grateful to Alfred for supporting some of this work that's getting underway in Kenya over the course of this year. And then in this year, we just announced that we'll be funding Sarah Gimbel and Kenny Scher for an iteration of their SIA program, which is Systems Analysis and Implementation Approach to Optimize the Delivery of Type 2 Diabetes. So again, I think a lot of us are doing hypertension work. We've heard a lot about hypertension. Diabetes is another key cardiometabolic risk factor that our program is interested in. And they'll be working with Anna Mukumbi doing this in Mozambique. Anna, by the way, is on our advisory board and will be coming in August, hopefully, as long as she gets her plane tickets. So this is just, I'm not expecting you to read this slide, but this is kind of an idea of what our conceptual framework for the program strategy is. And maybe just kind of point out that we're interested in research, but also interested in University of Washington educational programs, and then training and capacity building in the countries where we work, and ultimately to develop a whole infrastructure for facilitating that within our program. We're emphasizing a couple key regional partnerships in Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and Mozambique, in Latin America, Brazil and Peru, and in Asia, of course, Nepal, and also Vietnam. And focusing on some implementation science, and these methodologies in particular, implementation science, economic evaluation, and qualitative methods. Starting with partner disciplines of nursing, endocrinology, and neurology. And obviously we have to make choices about where to focus initially, and eventually we hope this will become even broader. Another key feature of what we'd like to do with this program is to think about this idea of reciprocal innovation, which I have become an ardent kind of enthusiast and advocate for. So reciprocal innovation is the bidirectional, co-constituted, and iterative exchange of ideas, resources, and innovations to address shared health challenges across diverse global settings. Another way of saying this is the idea that what we do in global health has application here in the United States, and sometimes what we do here in the United States may have application to global health. So this idea of reciprocal innovation, global to local, but local to global. And one of the grants I was just chatting with Annette about that we're going to try to get on Thursday if we're successful is called Rural Pro Care, or Reciprocal Innovations to Improve Cardiovascular Care in Rural America. Just one example of how we're taking global health lessons learned and applying them in the US. We're also interested in reciprocal training opportunities and are writing a paper, and Yongfang's helping with this, Sarah, about how do we pair K awardees, perhaps K43s in low and middle income countries, with K awardees in the United States in a more meaningful way, perhaps pairing D43s with T32 training grants in a way that really intentionally supports this idea of reciprocal training. And so with that, I'm just going to go ahead and finish up. Hopefully that was a good overview and we can discuss.